Good morning and hola, everyone. I'm so happy you're here with me. I am Emma's counterpart in a slightly different part of the county. I'm down in Tualatin, but she and I work together as a team to help people throughout the county. My areas of expertise include social media. I was a social media strategist for a company and learned how to write social media, how to put together websites and things of this nature. So it's that information that I'm going to be sharing with you today. As Emma mentioned, and I just have to ask, did the slide move forward? Are you seeing a different slide?
Yes, it did.
Goody, thank you. Just want to make sure. All right, the BRC was actually funded by the CARES Act. The money came from Washington County to support these 4 different centers, Forest Grove, Hillsborough, Beaverton, and Tualatin, to provide free confidential one-on-one counseling with business owners. So that's what Emma and I are here to do, along with the other 2 centers. You're welcome to come to any of us that you would like to. My name is Kathy BAZAN. I am your guide on this social media journey. For that 2.5 years, from 2009 to 2012, I was actually writing social media every day for a company in Sedona, Arizona. During that time, I built their Facebook page from 0 to over 9,500 likes, which, considering I never bought an ad and I never bought a like, is a pretty phenomenal accomplishment for a company that had less than 2% of the market share. So it's these tips and tricks that I'll be teaching you. All right, where is your market? Your market, quite literally, is anybody who's on the internet. Now, we've had a little bit of confusion historically out there because of our political candidates. The internet is a communication network invented by UCLA and Stanford. It wasn't invented by Al Gore, trust me. The World Wide Web is simply a section of the internet. The WWW, or World Wide Web, often just called the web, is the place where documents are stored. This is also the place where websites are stored. People all around the world are looking for information on the web. So what you want to do is get your information in front of those people who are looking for your type of product or service. Now, of all those people who are looking on the web, a subset are looking for information on your topic. You might be a life coach, you might be a horse trainer, you might be a retail store. So whatever it is, they're looking for information that you know more about than they do. Initially, there are a number of people who are going to find your website. These people might subscribe to your blog, they might like your Facebook page. These folks are called your community. Out of your community, there's a smaller group. This is called your tribe. These are your people who are wonderfully in favor of your product or service. Maybe they've given you a positive review online. They like, comment, or share your content. These folks are more likely to buy from you than is your community. And within your tribe, there is this wonderful little group of people who are your evangelists. They talk about your products. They share with their social media circles. So they're doing more than just writing reviews. They're actually your sales force out there in the world. These are the people we like. These are the people we're really trying to reach, because these are the folks who are definitely going to buy from you. The world of sales on the internet, you might think of it as 4 slowly growing smaller circles. I'll put it that way. So the largest group, of course, is anybody who uses the internet. Your community is a subset of that. Your tribe is a smaller group within your community. And your evangelists, your clients, are an even smaller group. So how can you grow your sales on the web? Basically, you want to find more who's. Now, this is obviously from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But the idea is this. There are people who are going to like your product. So we just need to find out what their commonalities are and then go find more people like them. To help the who's out there find you, you need a website and you need to be active on at least one social media channel. The reason is this: Google does not consider you to be a viable business until you are posting content on a regular basis on your website, which is called on-site, and off-site in at least one social media channel. Now that could be Facebook, it could be LinkedIn, but pick one, do a great job. As you get comfortable with that one social media channel, if you want to add a second one, go ahead. But until you're comfortable, do not feel you have to go pounce on all of them. So what you want to be doing is making sure that your website and your social media have keywords in them that help people learn about you, learn about your products, your services, your company's stories. And by the way, the quickest way to update your website is to post a new blog post. That way Google knows that you're posting new content, you're alive and kicking, so to speak, and they are more likely to help you get onto their page one. All right, so how can you update your website? Briefly touched on this. A blog post is obviously the easiest one, but you could also write and put up a brand new landing page or a web page. Web page is fairly explanatory. A landing page is something that answers a specific question and is not usually visible immediately when you get on the website. But if you're doing a Google search, as somebody might do when I was writing, when can I sit for the CPA exam? If I write a landing page of content, how to answer that question, Google will direct them directly to that, air quotes, invisible page, and they will find the information they want. They can then be invited at the end of the page to come check out the rest of the website. So a landing page answers a question that your customers may be asking about your product or service. All right, as I mentioned, I just want you to select one social media channel initially. You do want a social media channel that allows you to post 300 words or more. This pretty well knocks out of the consideration Twitter, because unless you're willing to link to another location through a service like Bitly, where you can post something longer on Twitter, you really are not going to get those 300 words onto Twitter. So you want to be looking at Facebook, you want to be looking at Instagram, and you also want to be looking at LinkedIn. And when I say Instagram, I mean Instagram stories, not just an Instagram picture. Since Facebook is so large, it's got over 2 billion monthly users, it's usually the channel that I suggest first for people. That, again, is going to depend on your business. If you are a professional, a dentist, a lawyer, a real estate agent, I might suggest that you post on LinkedIn before you post on Facebook. But it depends on what you're doing as to what your social media channel is going to be. All right. The keys to getting your website found are, number one, is your website responsive? A responsive website means that no matter what the screen size is, your website shrinks to fit that particular device. So your website would shrink to fit a smartphone or a tablet, but it would expand to fit a PC or a laptop monitor. So that is one thing that Google does look for in your website. So please make sure that your website is responsive. Why is this important? Well, about 60% of online searches are carried out on a smaller device. So if your website doesn't display correctly, if it looks kind of wonky, your customers are not going to see the best side of your website. Key number 2, you need to be mobile friendly. Mobile friendly is a website that's designed to look exactly the same way, no matter what device it's being displayed on. Again, this was one of Google's primary qualifications for getting onto page 1. It still is. Should have not put that in the past tense. Number 3, write in proper English. In 2015, Google decided that the internet was written by people who didn't know what a sentence actually was. And so they demanded that if you were going to try to get onto page 1, you had to write it at 12th grade level. The great news is that 2 years later, Google rethought this and decided that people who wrote it at 12th grade level were rather rare, and they probably all watched Masterpiece Theater, shall we say. As a result, Google reduced that requirement down to 8th grade English. The fact of the matter is most Americans read at a 4th grade level. This is a very sad fact, but it's a national statistic. However, you need to write above that at 8th grade level to be able to get onto Google's page 1. This means you can't split infinitives, isolate prepositions at the end of sentences, and do all those things that your English teacher marked you down for. By the way, I'm just going to throw in one quick thing. Number 1, I'm very happy to edit your content for free, so is Emma, so please feel free to reach out to us. Number 2, there is a free website called Grammarly that you can drop any content into, and it will actually edit it for you before you copy and paste it, put it up as a blog post or Facebook note. So remember Grammarly. All right. Google right now is the world's toughest English teacher. At least it's the one we all have to talk to. I'll put it that way. So what is Google trying to do? It's trying to make sure that this is a professional marketplace, not a place where people post about the grilled cheese sandwich they had sitting in the sunshine and watching the soft breezes make the leaves on the tree dance. So they want actual sentences that are grammatically and intellectually correct. It is easy to do once you get the hang of it. That's what I'm here to help with. So what I always do, what I always suggest to my clients is that they write their content for their website before they sit down with their web designer. Then their web designer can modify that content to fit what is needed in that particular website, and it saves the web designer time. They're more likely to get your website up and active because you've given them content. If they're waiting for your content, nobody's going to know you've got a website or that you're updating a website. By the way, for more information about how to write content, in your confirmation email, there is a link to my last class on how to write content. Again, if you have questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Another key to getting onto Google's page 1, make sure that you post regularly and consistently. Google's requirement is that you pick 1 week of the month, like the 2nd week of the month, 3rd week of the month, 4th week of the month, and that you consistently, during that 7-day period, that you post a new piece of content to your website and then a new piece of content to your social media channel. If you do that once, 1 week, every month, Google knows you're alive. If you want to move up in your Google rankings, if you want to move up from page 2 to page 1, page 3 to page 1, post more often than that. And the more that you post, the faster you're going to rise. If you've got your keywords in there and you've abided by the other rules and regulations. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. Google apparently went to Sunday school, and apparently they graduated. They like the story of Noah's Ark. And as you know, with Noah's Ark, the animals went into the ark in pairs, 2 tigers, 2 giraffes, etc. Google likes you to post in pairs, but unlike Noah's Ark, you can mix these pairs up. This is kind of fun. So you could do a blog post and a Facebook note. You could do a landing page and a LinkedIn update. You could do a web page and an Instagram story, or any combination of that. You do not have to do the same thing every time you post. So if you're going to post all 4 weeks in the month, you could do 4 different pairs. There is nothing stopping you from mixing up those pairs. However, mixing up your peaches is not allowed. Anyway, just kidding, it's a joke. One other way to get onto Google's page 1 is to be the first to post new content. So let's say you're a florist. Let's say you've looked at someone else's blog. Maybe it was for The Knot, and they posted an article about 5 wedding dress trends in 2021. If you rewrite that content, give it a different title, it actually becomes new content. So don't be afraid to look at people's content and modify it for your own uses. What you don't get credit for is, let's say I write an article about e-commerce mobile payment processing systems. And you decide that's a lovely article. Thank you, I appreciate the kudos. And you decide to share that on your Facebook page. If you're sharing my content, you're not getting any Google juice. You're not getting credit for having posted new content. So I just want you to be aware, it's okay to share, but it doesn't count as new content for you. So you're not off the hook. Okay, Google sends out robots, web crawlers, all these cute little electronic varmints that are looking for new content on your website and in your social media channels. If they find new content posted within 7 days, you get a gold star for the month. If you post more often than that, then obviously you're going to be getting more Google juice. Now, the other thing that Google is checking for is actually what's in the body of your content. And they can check down to 3 words. This is a bit scary if you're a professional writer, but if you understand what the rule is, it becomes easier to handle. So if Emma writes in her post that she went to the lake, and I write in my blog post that I went to the lake, Google's not going to care. To the lake is a very generic term. But if Emma writes, on a beautiful spring day, I meandered down the path in between the yellow bobbing daffodils on the way to Lake Winnipesaukee. And I use that same sentence, but I use the word meandered instead of strolled. I get marked down for copyright violation of Emma's content. So I don't think any of you are going to have problems with this, because if you're looking at somebody else's content, you're going to be using Merriam-Webster in their thesaurus. So if Emma says strolled, I'm going to put strolled. into Merriam-Webster, look up the thesaurus, and look up another word for meandered, but I'm going to replace daffodils. I may flip the sentence entirely, and instead of saying on a beautiful spring day, I might start out to Lake Winnipesaukee, I meandered on a beautiful spring day. Google is not going to mark me down because I actually flipped the entire sentence. So if you want examples of this and how to get around copyright violation, I am happy to help you with that because I don't want Google marking any of you down. It can be avoided. Copyright infringement can be avoided. You just need to be an attentive writer. We can show you how to do that. Copyright is your best friend in the whole world. As you are writing, whether you're writing on a laptop, a legal pad, you're actually gaining what's called poor man's copyright for your content. That's lovely. You can use the standard copyright symbol, the C in the circle, the date, the name of the organization that you're writing for, and this could be your own name, it could be the name of your business, period, all rights reserved. So you can use the official copyright statement, but poor man's copyright is not defendable in court. So this is where you get into a problem. I had a client, and I've been doing business counseling since 2014. I had a client, I kept nudging him to get copyright for his website, and he didn't do it. A rival company took his entire website, literally word for word, just changed the name of his company to the name of their company, posted all of his content on their website, which was a measly 50 miles away from his office. He ended up spending $10,000 with a lawyer to get them to release his content and to write other content. For $35 to $55, you can get official copyright from the US Copyright Office. So I strongly suggest that while you're putting up your website, you do put up this standard copyright statement, but replacing, of course, brc.org with the name of your company. And then when you get the entire website done, at that point, get copyright on the website. Your copyright statement will stay the same, but now you've got the legal clout. And a lawyer might charge you $200 for a cease and desist letter to somebody who infringes on your copyright, but that's a whole lot cheaper than $10,000. What you can do just to see after you have gotten copyright, if anybody out there is stepping on your toes, take your most unusual sentence from your website, copy it, drop it into a Google search bar, see if it shows up anywhere else on the net. If it does, go look at it and look at the surrounding words and see if somebody did make off with a page of your website or your entire website. At that point, defend your copyright, do what you need to do. All right, the US Copyright Office has an online service where you can upload your content, pay that $35 to $55. You actually are given copyright the minute you pay them the money. It'll take 6 to 8 months to get your official, ooh, this is so pretty, I ought to frame it letter back from them, but that then protects your website. You can also do this with all of your social media content as well, and I strongly suggest that you do. For $35 to $55 to protect, say, 100 Facebook articles that you've written is certainly worth the effort to do that. Key number 6, use those keywords. The term keyword actually is a couple of centuries old, which is very interesting. What a keyword is a word or a term, it could be a group of nouns, that someone, whether they're in Poughkeepsie, New York, or Portland, Oregon, they have searched for those particular words already, to find information about short-tailed cats, tall waterfalls. So if you use the keywords that Google knows people have already searched for, then Google will lead people to your content so that your content can answer their questions. And that's how those new clients find you. All right. You're now about ready to start preparing for your website's design. What I normally suggest is that if you're going to be seeing a web designer, or if you're doing this as a do-it-yourself project, you write the content for your home page, for your About Us or About the Company page, about your products and services page, and it may be either one or both. Contact us and set up your blog. If you've got content for those to begin with, you are in a much better position to get your website up and going. Two, I want you to select images or photos for your website. There are free websites like pexels.com, P-E-X-E-L-S. It's like pixels, but with an E in that first syllable, where you can actually download free images from them that you can use on your website. You can also take your own photographs. You can hire a professional photographer. So whatever combination of photos you want to use is great. People are attracted to images. They're much more likely to read your content if it has some sort of an illustration, picture, chart, whatever, next to the words. So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's get started on the nuts and bolts here. What is a domain name? Essentially, a domain name is like the street address for your house. So your street address is unique to your particular town. There's only going to be one 306 Morningside Terrace in every city, because if there was more than one, it would get very confusing and the mail would go in the wrong direction. Same thing with domain names. So each domain name is distinct from every other domain name. It's pretty easy to get one too. Quickest way and the least expensive way is to go to Google and look for a GoDaddy coupon. Often you can find a domain name for 99 cents. Sometimes it's $5.99, but still that's better than $19.99. So get a hold of that coupon. Hang on to it, don't do anything with it yet. Then what I want you to do is write up 10 different domain names that you might possibly like to have. And remember, you can make slight variations on these. So let's say you're Mike's Plumbing. Well, hate to tell you, Mike's Plumbing is probably already taken, but it might not be taken in Washington State. So you could be Mike's Plumbing, WA. Okay? You can also put other things in there. Mike's Plumbing LLC, Mike's Plumbing Portland, Mike's Plumbing of Tualatin. So you can make it slightly different and then get the domain name. So you've got your list, you've got your coupon. At that point, what you do is you actually go to GoDaddy, you put in your very favorite domain name, and please use standard spellings. Please make it as short as possible, easy to spell, because if you put in, say, elements, but you spell it with a Z, people may not put your domain name in correctly, and they might be directed to somebody else other than you. So standard spellings, as short as possible. Now, go to GoDaddy, put in your first choice, see if it's available. If it's not available, what they will suggest is would you like Mike's Plumbing of Portland.net? My suggestion is that you hold out for a .com, because most people, even though you tell them that you have a .net or a .biz, they won't hear that, and they will put in mikesplumbing.com. So try to hold out for a .com address. Once you get a domain name that you like, then use that coupon and buy it immediately. The reason is, if you don't buy it immediately, someone else will buy it and they will increase the price. The next time you come back to try and get Mike's Plumbing, you might be looking at $24.95. All right. Why do you want a website? You need a clear objective. You need a clear purpose for what you're doing. So are you trying to increase sales via lead generation, or is it to develop your credibility as an expert in your field? Let's say you're someone who has taught environmental management for 10 years at the University of Findlay in Ohio. You might want to create a website where you're giving information about environmental management, problems that have come up in the workplace, how you've solved those, so that lawyers who are looking for expert witnesses to testify in court may reach out to you as an expert witness that they pay an unholy amount of money to per hour for your expertise. The other way to, or the other reason that you might be looking to create a website is obviously to generate leads, to find more who's, to get more sales. So you've got all of these different reasons for putting up a website. What is good web design? Good web design means that you've got the right look and feel for the type of business you're in. Is your website visually appealing? Is your website something that people want to actually investigate? Do the colors invite them in? Do the images, the pictures, whatever it is you're using for illustrations, do those make people want to learn more? Does your page layout allow them to learn what they need to learn quickly? How do colors communicate to your prospects? Colors are very important. And as you notice, these slides have a light blue tint to them. I'll put it that way because there's several shades of light blue on these particular slides. But I could have easily picked a template that had more of the yellows, more of the purples. I'm picking blue because blue is a color that communicates trustworthiness, the fact that I am a stalwart individual, someone of solid moral character. So think about the colors that you want to use on your website and what you want them to communicate. For instance, white, if you're talking about in a business sense, can enliven dark colors, but it can be refreshing depending upon the shade of white you're using, or it can be very sterile. Think of a hospital. White, if you're trying to communicate a message to people, says purity, truthfulness. It is a very contemporary color for website design right now, and it's a very refined color. Gray and silver are very wonderful accent colors for conservative target markets. So if you're a lawyer, if you're in a field where you need to represent yourself as professional and somber, practical, and authority, you do want silver or gray as an accent color on that particular website. Our cool colors communicate something else. There are cool colors and warm colors. So I'm not saying this as they're cool colors. But on the color wheel, the blues, the greens, the purples all fall into the cool colors. They make you feel cool, according to color experts. So green is usually seen as a very soothing color. In the darker tones, it signifies status and wealth. Green in, in any of its shades, there we go. Green connotes freshness, tranquility, and health. This is wonderful for somebody who's doing a salon, somebody who's doing wellness products, or is in a wellness field. So green is a great color for those and other fields as well. Blue, signals security and financial responsibility. It can incorporate faithfulness, authority, dignity, and security as well. So blue in various shades is, again, lovely color for a website. Purple, if you know your history, purple is connected with royalty. For many, many years, the only people allowed to wear purple were royals. And so it still has that connotation today of royalty, sumptuousness, but it also connotes spirituality and sophistication. So you've got some very interesting colors here to play with. And we've got warm colors, of course. Yellow is cheerfulness. It's intellectual curiosity. It's a wonderful accent color because it just brightens everything up. Orange, interesting color. If you have a little bit of orange as an accent color, it usually works very, very well. If you have a lot of orange, it can be a bit of a challenge. The reason is orange displays differently depending upon what laptop you're on, what PC, what mobile phone. So I have let me start that over. In situations with clients who have orange on their website, I will often pull up their website on my smartphone as well as on the PC at the same time so that they can see that the orange actually displays differently. It can be darker on one device, look like it's got more brown in it. It can be brighter on another device, and there's no way to know what's going to happen until you actually put it up there. So yes, use orange if you would like to, but do check it on multiple devices before you agree to that as your final color choice. Pink, obviously associated with femininity, but it also connotes softness, innocence, and health. So if you're in a women's wellness field, pink's a great color. It's also good for other ones as well. Red, very bold color. It connotes passion, strength, vitality. Too much red or the wrong shade of red can connote aggressiveness. So again, try different shades of red. See what you and your web designer decide is the best to communicate your message. Let's get graphic with images, of course. That's all we're getting graphic with. If you have a team of people working for your company, you do want to show on your About Us or About the Company page a picture of the team, if you possibly can. Some people are very camera shy. That's all right. Not everybody has to be in the photo if they don't want to be. If you can't get the team to cooperate, which does happen, you can go to Pixels, pick a picture of a group of happy people and put it up there. Just don't put in your content and look at this picture over here of my team. Don't mention the picture at all. So it is one way to get around it. But you can use photos of your workplace. You can use photos of happy clients if they allow you to. Photos of happy clients in your testimonials are highly effective, and I strongly suggest a carousel of great reviews on the home page of your website. Excuse me, that are great reviews by people of your product or service. When other people come to your website and they see that folks like what you do, they're more likely to join in as well. Oh, and don't forget product photos. All right, your website menu. Now, your menu is what allows people to access your information quickly. It allows them to know how to move around the website, where they can find the information that they're looking for. Ideally, your menu should be at the top of your page. What many of the recent websites are doing, especially in restaurant areas, or restaurants are doing this a lot, is that they're putting the menu down the left side. Here's the problem. Most people are Pavlov's dogs. They are trained to look at the top of the page for the menu. If they don't find it, they get a little ticked off and they may go to a competitor's website. So just be aware of that and think about how you want your menu to look. You do want to have those 5 main sections up there: home, about us or about the company, products and services, blog, and contact us. Now, in this particular site that I have put the picture in, they have a lot more buttons than that, but they've got a lot more going on. You too may need a lot of buttons, so it just depends on your business. Okay, what is your website theme? Your theme is how you communicate or represent your brand. This has a direct effect on how much time your website visitors enjoy your website or not. People will actually go from one theme to another, to your competitor who has a different theme, because they don't like your theme. Or conversely, they'll stay on your site because they like your theme. So the theme incorporates a unified feel for your look, your style, how the website functions, how it's laid out, the color scheme, and the elements. If you have picked your website theme, and I will be going into a few of these things, whether you're doing this as a do-it-yourself project or whether you're taking this information to a website designer, you will spend less time hemming and hawing before you get your website live if you've made these decisions ahead of time. All right, I talked about themes. For the last few years, this theme of flat design has been very in style. It's on trend, put it that way. Flat design features colorful, two-dimensional shapes and figures that give a very minimalistic feel to your website. This obviously is dependent upon the images that you are picking for your website. A website designer can help you design the images that you want on that website to express what you're trying to communicate about your products or services. One thing to ask about any particular theme that you are considering: how much developer support is available? In other words, is there somebody you can turn to and say, ugh, how do I do this? Most companies, if you're going with Wix or Weebly, offer, or any of them, I shouldn't just limit it there, any of these DIY sites will offer you developer support to help you through the design and upkeep of your website. If you're hiring a website designer, obviously they're doing that for you. If you don't use a website builder, you can use WordPress, and you can actually build your own website in WordPress, but you don't have the templates that you would in Square, Weebly, Wix, etc., Bluehost. So just be aware of the fact that yes, if you want to build something completely independent of a website platform, you can do it. Make sure that visitors or users of your website can easily contact you. Having a click to call button is wonderful, especially if you put that on every single page, because then that way, if somebody gets a question, boom, they can immediately get to you, and they don't have to go off of that page to go up to contact us to find out how to get a hold of you. It's a very quick call to action. So if you don't like the words click to call, you can say call now, or call me, or call us. Anything that you want to use word-wise to communicate that is a functional button that will actually place a phone call to you. Okay, come on, move. Thank you. Does the theme that you're selecting, excuse me, have bunches of apps, plugins, and extensions? The more of those that you have, the more you can customize your website for the functionality that you need, for what your customers need to get a hold of you, contact you, and buy from you. So that is one thing to consider whenever you are looking at a particular theme. The importance of an e-blast signup. This is something you do want to have on every single page of your website. What an e-blast signup is, and sometimes it's called a subscription box, is that it allows anybody visiting your website to give you their email. Their email is a wonderful thing because then you can send them e-blasts and sales offers. In this particular one, you might be able to read it. You might have to expand it a little bit, but it's from a website called Mewington's, which caters to cat owners. And so in this one, it says get 10% off your first purchase, and that's your reward for giving them your email address. The e-blast is something we will get into, and how to write it and how to send it out, how to effectively develop sales from it in our 5th class, which is coming up towards the end of November. But you do want this sign-up box, however you want to read it, on every single page of your website. The statistics are that only 33% of websites ask you for your email to send you an e-blast, but somewhere between 67 and 72% of consumers are ready to give you that information if you just ask for it. By the way, the other really important thing about having an e-blast is that people who sign up for the e-blast are 99% of the time going to buy from you and not a competitor. So once you get them to the point where they will accept your e-blast, you've got them as a customer. Very important. Okay. You do need to test to see if your website will actually function on the most popular browsers. Even though 86% of all searches are done on Google, that means 14% of searches are done on Yahoo, Bing, Microsoft Edge, other browsers. So this particular website called Browser Shots will actually do an evaluation of your website on these different browsers and tell you what your functionality is on those different browsers, so you don't have to test it. You then can make corrections which will make it easier for folks on those particular browsers to be able to get to your website and use it. Yes, we do know that there are hundreds of templates out there. Which one should you select? Well, I don't want any of you crying about this. We'll get through it. There are 3 design features to consider. Which content width is better for your type of business? What is the homepage header design? What is the menu bar design? If we can answer those 3 questions in regard to your particular business, then we'll get the right template. Full width content. Now I'm talking about the very top part of your website, what displays first. In newspaper days, when they said that something was above the fold, they meant the newspaper actually folded in half, which most of them did. And any news that was above the fold was highly important. It was there to attract attention. It was there to sell newspapers. So again, above the fold on a website is the very first screen that people see when they come to your website. They have not scrolled down. They haven't moved off of it. So this is what they first see. So full width content allows that main image to be bigger. Now, this is very popular with very creative business sites, contemporary business sites. The downside is that it sometimes, excuse me, let me rephrase that. The upside is that it works well on mobile responsive or graphic heavy websites. But because it's a brand new type of header, people are sometimes put off by it. So just weigh those 2 factors against each other. Okay. This is what is called the boxed width. And it's kind of hard to see, but the image does not go all the way to the left margin and doesn't go all the way to the right. It's framed, for lack of a better term, in the upper part of that above the fold portion. So this is a different format, and obviously it works for different types of businesses. If you are in a very visual business, say you're a hotel, you're a travel consultant, you're into food, this kind of a homepage header layout is exceptionally appropriate because you've got a large enough image to show something that makes someone want to learn more. They want to be in that location because they can see so much about it. They want to be in your restaurant because they're seeing a beautiful plate of food and they want to dive in. So this is terrific for visually based businesses. Now, if you're not sure what to do, this is your fallback position. This is your safest type of a header. This is an image with your menu bar across it. You can add a headline to it. You can add a supporting paragraph. You can add a call to action button. You can also add a supporting image. This is a very standard website design, something that people recognize and know how to move around. So if you can't decide between the ones up above, there you go. All right, this is a slideshow header. If you've got multiple products or you've got multiple services, you can actually do a slideshow on your website header. So this would be a number of pictures that go around. If you notice, there are 2 little black rectangles on either side, on the left side and the right side. Those allow people to either click on those and move the pictures, or the carousel itself rotates every X number of seconds. But people then get to see an awful lot more about your products and services very quickly on that home page. There are websites that are starting to do video background headers. Barbecue restaurants have been doing this for a number of years, where you can actually see something on the grills, you know, a beautiful piece of salmon that is being grilled, or some other item that you just want to go sit down in that restaurant and order whatever it was, whether it was a steak or a portobello mushroom. But the movement of the flames, the flicker of the smoke coming off of whatever it is that's cooking, the sizzle of the item as it's cooking. These make wonderful images to a header on a particular website. So depending upon what you're doing, if you're a lifestyle brand, this is perfect. If you're a lawyer, probably not. So just, you can play with these different possibilities and see what makes sense for you. If you're a market and you're selling candy, that kind of an image with a whole lot of different colors in it could be very spectacular. Okay, menu bar design. Do select a very clean, simple design. People do not like to have to think when they come onto a website. If they have to go search for 3 little horizontal lines, they may not do it. If they have to analyze what your button says, and it says about our entrepreneurial team, they may not realize that that's an About Us button. They may, but you know, you've just made it a little bit harder for them. You may want to highlight your menu bar with a contrasting color behind it or around it, so it says, ta-da, here's the menu bar. All right, don't design a menu which is way too congested. If you look at this particular website, you're going to see an awful lot of text, no images to speak of, a slew of buttons in the menu buttons, and it's very crowded. That could potentially intimidate your visitors. They may go somewhere else. Where on your page do you want to put your menu bar? Historically, menu bars go at the top. They go left to right. No big deal. But a lot of people are putting them on the left side of the page, or they're even putting them at the bottom of the page. We're seeing a lot of those going on right now. So it depends on what your site is, how you're doing it, as to where you put that. But selecting a fixed position for your menu bar allows more website design choices. So if it's always at the top of every page, it allows you to have a unified design page to page. Top horizontal bar is the most common. It's very traditional, and it allows people to get to the information they want immediately. Side vertical bar, it's popular with restaurants, salons, bars. Oops, went the wrong direction. Bottom horizontal bars, we see these a lot with interior designers, artists, architects, photographers. So it depends on what kind of a business you have as to where you want to do it. Finesse your headlines, rework them into killer headlines. You want to grab your visitors' attention with a headline which intrigues or entices them to read more. Give the person info that makes them want to stick around and visit your website. Show that you have the answers to what they need to know. So titles like The 5 Best Ways to Get Rich Without Working 9 to 5. That's going to get people's attention. Here's what you don't know about SEO that could hurt your business. That's more of a negative title. You can also put that in a positive sense. Here's what you can learn about SEO that will help your website. Now, do you want to design your website yourself, or do you want to go to a website designer? This whole question can be answered with one further question. Do you have in your budget at this moment the ability to spend somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 on a website? If you do, hire a web designer. Save yourself the time and trouble. If you don't have that amount of money in your budget, that's okay. Put up a do-it-yourself website on Weebly, Wix, GoDaddy, Square, etc. right now, which is less expensive. And then down the road, when you've made some sales, you can hire a website designer to make that website the show place you're looking for it to be. Preparation is the same, whether you're going to DIY it, whether you're going to go to a website designer. So make sure that you've written your content, that you have your graphics, your photos, your images chosen, that you have a blog, and I normally suggest that you have 2 or 3 blog articles ready to go and on the website when you launch the website, so people can see that you're actually working on the website. You're not just, oh, look, I have a blog button. There's nothing there. Not a good sign. That you have selected a font, and I do suggest that you select a very vertical font. The reason is that as we age, our eyesight gets worse, unfortunately. One of the first things to go is the ability to differentiate between serifs. And serifs are those hanging over parts on the tops and the bottoms of letters. If you think of Times New Roman, you'll realize that the hanging over parts of the letters often invade the personal space of the letter next to them. As a result, as we age, it gets more and more difficult to differentiate between the letters and find out where one letter ends and another one begins. So this could turn an I and an N into looking like an M if there's no dot over the I, as for instance. So you want a very vertical font like a Verdana, Calibri, Arial. There are a whole slew of them out there. You can actually Google current vertical fonts and they will give you a list of them. So you do want a color scheme, and you might need a shopping cart depending upon what it is you're doing. So these are all different aspects of designing a website. I do want to thank you today for coming, and I'm wondering if there are any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. I see apparently it's $150 for a website in Mexico.
Interesting.
When you hire a web developers, do they use Square or other platforms you mentioned? This is from Andra Forstad.
Usually a website designer is going to use a more complicated format than you yourself would. So they might use WordPress as a for instance. WordPress is highly popular among website designers, but it gives a functionality that you can't get on a Weebly or a Wix. You can do fade ins and fade outs on photographs. You can do, well, okay. You can make the rainbows sparkle and you can make the unicorns dance on WordPress, and you can't usually get that same kind of functionality on Weebly, Wix, or Square.
What has been your most successful post and what were the outcomes?
If you mean a blog post,
Yes.
okay, good. When I worked for CPA Excel, I started doing a series of blog posts on famous accountants who had caught criminals. The most popular post that I ever put up was about Sarah Howe, a woman who in the 1880s ran the first Ponzi scheme in the United States. So technically, this should be called a Howe scheme and not a Ponzi scheme. Shouldn't have been named for Charles Ponzi. But I went through the history of how this woman, who was fairly uneducated, I'll put it that way, but she managed to start a bank for women, and she scammed women out of a huge amount of money in the 1880s. She was caught, she was sent to prison, and after prison, she moved to different locations. She moved to Canada and she moved to Ohio. In both locations, she started the scam all over again. And she was able to garner quite a bit of money in each case. But it was fascinating how she had created this affinity scam. The people who were studying for the CPA exam, who were coming to the blog, obviously, were intrigued to learn about this woman. Several people who were still in college asked if they could use this as the basis of a research paper that they would turn in. Said, sure, so long as you cite where you got the information. But also in the blog post, I listed my different sources, which were magazines from the 1880s that had written about this woman. So I suggested to the students that they actually go back to those original source materials, and they might pull quotes from them as well. So providing information that is unexpected was always highly successful for me.
Thank you. I have another question. This is from Lisa Chang.
Okay.
How close together do their pair's website and Facebook need to be posted to count as a pair?
Within 7 days. So let's say you post the blog post on Tuesday the 7th, then you actually have until the next Monday to post the Facebook. But I normally suggest you do it a little bit closer than that. If you do Tuesday on the blog, do Thursday on Facebook. The reason is that most people, if you've been on the planet long enough, many people are inundated with information on Monday because they've come back into the office. So taking the time and the pleasure to read a blog post or Facebook note isn't going to happen. So you might as well post on Tuesday. Your most popular days for posting on either your website or social media are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you can post blog on Tuesday, Facebook on Wednesday or Thursday. And that's my suggestion.
Thank you. Marketing seems to be evolving. As you know, social media influencers are doing well simply by their entertaining content. How does Instagram and Facebook, Twitter compare to a website?
They function differently. Twitter is exceptionally good if you're trying to reach out to folks who are 35 and under. It's wonderful if you're announcing a sale or a special event or something that needs immediate action. It's not particularly good for communicating information because you're limited on the number of characters. Now, your way around that is to go to a website like Bitly, load your entire content, which could be 1,000 words. Bitly will give you a URL where you can tweet out read my latest blog post here, put in the bit.ly link, and somebody goes to bit.ly. But if you're going to post that content on the blog, why not link to your blog and save the cost of bit.ly? Let's look at Facebook for a minute. Facebook is the largest social media platform in the world. It attracts people from 15 to 95, and in fact, baby boomers are right now the largest population group that is going on to Facebook for the first time. So you've got a range of ages, you've got a range of economic groups, people who are making a lot of money down to people who aren't making much money at all and don't have a lot of disposable income. So you've got the largest range of potential customers. Instagram used to be thought of as the #1 channel if you wanted to reach people who are 18 to 30. And then it became 25 to 45, people who are interested in lifestyle, fashion, food, travel, fun. So Instagram has expanded its typical person on Instagram. And that is now somewhere between about 18 and 55. It's what most people are finding Instagram is good for. The website should be a calm, professional presentation of who you are and what you offer the world, what you offer your consumers. Facebook, on the other hand, and Instagram allow you to be a little bit more like a golden retriever and, oh, this is so cool. You've got to see this really neat product I've got on my website. So the voice changes on Facebook, and that's why these two work together so well. You've got the calm professional voice on the website. You've got an excited golden retriever, ooh, me, cool voice on Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
Another question from Bing. The websites need to load fast, so if you use too many features, probably would slow down the loading speed, right?
It would, but that can be counteracted by a couple of different things. Depending upon the functionality of the template that you're using, that can actually mitigate the loading being slowed down. If you're using an older template that is slowed down by extra images, extra features, then yes, you're going to run into that problem. What I would do if you're concerned about it, if you're doing your website DIY, I would certainly call up or email whichever provider you're working with and ask, is there a particular template that will allow for quick loading, but also allow me to put a lot of heavy content in there? If you're working with a web designer, the web designer is going to be very aware of this issue and probably will be nudging you towards a template that allows for quick loading.
Thank you, Kathy. Another question is, for new businesses with limited budgets, what do you suggest they do for creating an initial website?
My initial suggestion, I've worked with a lot of companies in this same situation. I strongly suggest you DIY it, that you design it yourself. Several of the businesses that came to me when I first started had hired a college student for like $500 to, design the website. That was ducky, but there was one particular problem they didn't anticipate. The student had the password, and when the student graduated from Northern Arizona University or wherever, that student boogied on down the road to somewhere else, and they forgot to tell their customer what the password was. So these poor business owners were left high and dry and couldn't get into their own websites. So they actually had to go to the website platform, prove who they were, and after several weeks were able to get into their websites. I don't suggest you use a student to design your website unless you've got certain controls on it, like you know what the password is, and you regularly check it to make sure that they haven't changed it on you. And for that reason, I do suggest that since these platforms like Weebly and Wix and Square are so easy to use, you might as well just do it yourself. Save the $500.
Agreed. We see that very, very frequently where some of our business owners have a website that they've allowed somebody else. They changed their password, they changed username, the email, the whole thing. And
Yep.
so they no longer can afford the maintenance of that web designer. And so they're left with having to create a new one because they can't access their own content and they can't update their own content as well. Does posting, this is from Andy Taylor, does posting video blogs to website count towards Google SEO page ranking?
Usually not. The reason is Google tracks words. They're looking for keywords. Now, can you embed keywords into a video in that SEO line? Yes. But the other requirement is that Google is looking for 300 words before they will actually rate your content and give you that gold star for having posted what they need you to post. So can you use videos on your website and on your social media? Yes. But make sure that you also have word-based content going up in that same week.
Thank you, Kathy. I wanted to share that from your last, from your first workshop, you provided us a list of different sites where we can go and find different words that can be used within your within the industry of that business. And we just did one post, and it was for a cleaning business, and we tried to use, you know, the most common words, and with those words we created a sentence and we posted it on our Facebook. We had so much engagement. Facebook sponsored it. We never put any money into it or anything, and so just thank you for sharing all of this information. And by the way, that is part of the slides that Kathy shared with us on the first workshop. We're still learning, and we still seek to use all of the information that you're sharing with us. We also, you know, try to implement what you are teaching us so that we can use it for to get the best results for our businesses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple updates. With here in Washington County, we still have, I believe, about $15 million left from our CARES Act until the end of December. And soon, I believe, Kathy, on the 3rd of November, the new Washington County grant application will open up. It will be available it'll be open for a couple weeks. And that is, it's my understanding that the application is much more flexible, so that if you've already had other types of grants, you can also apply for this one as well. The city of Beaverton also will be opening their application, and it's also my understanding that it will be a lot more flexible with the application eligibility and the uses for the grant. The $2,000 to $10,000, and also there's still one more grant, and that is the State of Oregon COVID-19 Emergency Business Supplemental Grant. Most of you have received an email. This is via Point West, and that is about $5,000. So it's businesses with 2 or fewer full-time employees would get $5,000. per employee, and businesses with 3 or more would get 2,000 per full-time employment. And I think the cap is 50,000.
Correct.
If you need help with that application, we're here to help you with that. We still have PPE available for you. We've shared a couple links. You can fill out the form through one of our centers, and you can come and pick it up within 48 hours. We'll have it ready for you. And so I think those are some of the things. Do you have other information, other updates from the Tualatin BRC?
Absolutely. Emma, thank you for giving a great rundown of those particular grants that are available now. There will be another round of grants available in the city of Tualatin. So those are coming up as well. I understand that Hillsborough may have another round coming up. Just keep in touch with us. Emma and I and the other two centers do send out emails to you on a regular basis saying, this grant's open, please apply for whatever you would like. The other thing that will be opening up soon, and it's going to open up on October 19th, there's an organization called NAV, and NAV is like the word Navy, but without the Y, so it's nav.com. They actually help business owners understand business credit and build their business credit score. Quick caveat, a business credit score is on a scale of 1 to 100, which is not at all like your personal score. So if you ever look at your business score and it's only 2 digits, please do not faint. Everything's okay. We'll get it right, okay? It's a different scale. But October 19th, NAV opens their $10,000 grant contest. They give away 2 prizes every quarter. It's $10,000 and $5,000 to 2 different businesses. I coached a business owner in Vancouver, Washington last year, and she was one of their winners. So I do know quite a bit about the contest, and it's actually a very easy application. You just need to write a couple of short essays about what motivated you to get into your business, what challenges you're now facing, and how this grant can help you meet those challenges, survive and thrive into the future.
Thank you, Kathy. And this is a national grant?
Primarily, the winners have come from the West Coast. Now, it may be expanding to national. At the time that my client applied, they had just over 300 applicants in that quarter. She was one of the 10 that was initially picked. They did a phone interview with her. Out of the top 5, they did a visit to her store and the other 4. And out of those top 5, they picked at that time the 3 winners. Now it's 2 winners.
Thank you, Kathy. So much support from our leaders. We're very grateful for this, and we also hear that we've also learned that the Clackamas County is now in the process of opening up a BRC similar to what we're doing here in Washington County, so that businesses in that area, in that county, can get the resources that they need to thrive, and also sometimes to make up for the loss that many of our businesses have had through the CARES Act. And so at time to time, we'll have Clackamas County business owners joining us. They're very grateful that these resources are available to them as well, including this workshop. We're so grateful, Kathy, for everything you're teaching us. I feel like I need to go back and review everything a couple of times and find a way to, implement all this amazing information. For everyone here, this presentation, we'll do a couple edits, but the presentation will be available in a couple of days, and so we'll have it on our YouTube channel. We realize that to make a presentation this long, it does need to be on YouTube, and so we want to make sure that you don't miss any part of it. And for those folks who weren't able to attend, it will be available for them as well. Kathy, so do you our third series? Do you have information on that?
Absolutely. The next one that's coming up is how to organize a blog so that it represents your business the best, and how to create content for that blog. And a blog, of course, is just a contraction of the two words web log. So it was initially supposed to be like a captain's log that either James T. Kirk or somebody on Master and Commander would write in their log as the captain of a sailing ship or a starship and say, here's where we went today, here's the people we met, and here's what we saw. So a web log gives you the opportunity to organize everything that you have written for social media into actual silos so people can find information on one particular topic that you have written about and see the other topics as well.
Thank you, Kathy. And again, 7:30 a.m., bright and early.
Yep.
Let us know if you need any, if you have any questions on this presentation, if you have any other questions for the BRC. My email is Emma, E-M-M-A, @beaverton.org. And I believe Kathy's information is on this last slide. Is this correct, Kathy?
Yes.
Oh, I see just a couple more questions. Emma, will you repeat the information about the Oregon State grant you mentioned? I don't see that listed on the BRC website. Yes, I do apologize that it came in and immediately I sent it out, and I forgot to send it to the BRC. It's hard to keep track of all these amazing grants that
Yes.
the Lowe's grant is another grant that I believe is going to open up again for 6th or 7th round. I can share this information with you. I can send you an email. If you just shoot me an email, emma@beaverton.org, I can send you the information. This is from Point West. And the name of it is State of Oregon COVID-19 Emergency Business Supplemental Grant Application. So it's really long. And really awesome, really easy to fill. I've also posted that on our Impact Beaverton Facebook page. You can get that information and the links there as well. Thank you, Corey. That's a great question. Miguel Barrios. Okay, yes, we will definitely, he wants to know if I will share the link. So yes, for the next presentation, we will definitely send the Zoom link. You'll be in your confirmation. So you do need to register for all of these workshops. It's beaverton.org. You go to the event calendar there and you just register for the next workshop. So the next workshop will be number 3, series number 3. Laura is saying, thank you, Emma and Kathy, and for the entire team and staff and translation. Thank you so much, Kathy, and all the BRC staff.
Aw, thank you. I appreciate that.
So this is it, and I hope to see you guys next time. If you have any information, you have my contact. If you have any questions, if you want to know more about the BRC, if you want to know about the Clackamas BRC, we'll definitely keep you updated on this information. We're pretty active on Impact Beaverton on our page through Facebook and Instagram as well. And we're here to help you with anything that you may need for your business. So don't be shy. Ask us. We're pretty open, and we have pretty open doors as well, Kathy.
Oh,
At
yes.
the Tualatin Center. And if you need help creating content and writing, as you know, Kathy is an expert. She's a professional writer, and sometimes that is something that we all need, especially if English is your second language. For me, I mean.
This is true, and we do have translation services at the Tualatin Chamber. So if you feel more comfortable in Spanish, I've got somebody who's a wonderful translator and works with me, and I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Jessica, for doing such a great job providing this in Spanish. Do you have any questions from your side? It looks like everybody has felt pretty confident writing on the chat box, either in Spanish or English.
That is wonderful. Well, the whole reason for doing this particular segment of the social media series on what to know before you go to a web designer is a parallel to what happens when you go to a lawyer. If you go to a lawyer and you present the problem to the lawyer will draft a letter to the person who's making your life miserable, have their paralegal type up the letter, you review the letter, you send it out. But if you want to save time and you want to save money, you draft the letter, go to the lawyer rewrites it, edits it, but that takes maybe half of the time. And so you may have saved yourself, $200, $300 an hour by drafting that letter ahead of time. If you have these different items decided on pretty closely, you've got your content written, you've got a theme suggested, you have a header that you're really seriously considering. When you go to the web designer has to spend less time getting your website up and going, and therefore may charge you less. So that's what the entire reason behind this workshop is.
Thank you, Kathy. I personally have had a lot of experience with writing these type of drafts and having lawyers say, "Oh, this is good.
Yeah,
I think we'll send this out." So yes, there's so much, you can save so much money doing your own research and putting your own heart into what you write and how you express your passion for your products or services that you're providing. And that's what makes being a small business owner so unique and inspiring, and it's what wakes us up every morning, right? To be our own boss and be unique with it and be creative.
Absolutely. And Emma and I are here to work with you to help your businesses grow. If you're closer geographically to Forest Grove or Hillsborough, we've got wonderful staff there as well who can help you. Any of us can meet with you by phone, by Zoom, in person. At least in our office, we have found that 2 tin cans and a string doesn't work very well. But, we are willing to try different methods of communication.
Thank you, Kathy. You all have a great day and great weekend, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Take care, ask questions, and let us know what we can do to help.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great next 2 weeks.
Thank you. Take care and go get them.